Imagine this: a rapidly scaling tech startup, brilliant minds, groundbreaking innovations. But then, a seemingly minor oversight.
Yeah.
An unpatched server, maybe, or a forgotten cloud instance, an employee falling for a sophisticated phishing email. And just like that, an entire organization's crown jewels, their proprietary algorithms, customer data, their hard-earned reputation are exposed. Careers are shattered.
Yeah.
It's not a scene from a Hollywood thriller. It's the daily high-stakes reality in our deeply interconnected world. How do you protect against these invisible threats lurking in the digital shadows? How do you ensure you're not just constantly reacting to attacks, but proactively building an unbreachable fortress, one that, adapts and evolves with the threats? Before we embark on this vital journey into safeguarding our digital future, take a quick moment to hit that like button, subscribe to the deep dive, and share this with anyone looking to fortify their understanding of cybersecurity.
Please do.
You won't want to miss the insider tips that could literally protect your career and your organization. And as always, check the description for valuable resources that will help you go even deeper into today's fascinating topics. Today, we're embarking on a truly critical deep dive into the world of network and systems security. Specifically, we're unpacking the vital concepts from Module 15. Information Security Management, a cornerstone from Mark Ciampa's CompTIA Security Plus Guide to Network Security Fundamentals.
Great resource.
It is. And this isn't just academic theory. It's the real-world playbook, the actionable intelligence for professionals in MIS, CIS, and IT. Our mission is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and connect them directly to your career growth, especially for those looking to thrive in dynamic markets like, say, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This deep dive is designed to transform complex information security principles into clear, actionable insights you can apply immediately.
Exactly. Our mission today is to, provide that shortcut to being well-informed with surprising facts and just enough humor to keep you hooked. We'll explore the continuous process of analysis, implementation, evaluation, and maintenance that secures modern electronic data systems.
That continuous process. Key phrase right there.
Absolutely. We'll cover everything from identifying risks and securing data integrity to understanding the future trends shaping this critical field. Understanding these areas is absolutely crucial for professionals, equipping you with the skills to implement and configure security measures, conduct thorough assessments, manage security operations, and expertly monitor and respond to incidents. These are the exact skills employers are desperately seeking in today's rapidly evolving threat landscape. Let's make you not just knowledgeable, but indispensable.
Okay, let's unpack this foundational concept. When we talk about assets in the context of information security, our minds often jump to physical servers or laptops. But what else are we really referring to here? Is it broader?
Oh, it's much broader. That's a great starting point because what's truly insightful about asset management is that it's far more expansive than just physical hardware. At its core, it's really a strategic business plan for the services an organization provides.
A business plan. Interesting.
Yeah, think about it. For information security, an information asset isn't just something you can touch. It's any information or system that holds value to the organization.
Any value.
Any value. Think of it like a city's public infrastructure. We immediately notice when the roads are full of potholes, right? Or the bridges are unsafe, or the public parks are neglected.
Sure, yeah, it's obvious.
But what about the hidden infrastructure? The complex sewage systems, the power grid, the intricate traffic light synchronization systems. If those fail, the impact can be catastrophic, yet they're often taken for granted until, they break.
Okay, I see the analogy. So digital assets are like that hidden infrastructure.
Exactly. In the digital realm, these hidden critical assets include things like customer databases, proprietary algorithms maybe for new AI product-sensitive financial records, employee information, and mission-critical applications. But it goes even further. Intellectual property, the brand's reputation, even the organization's specialized talent and knowledge are information assets.
Wow. Okay, talent and knowledge too.
Absolutely. As one source, DG Legacy wisely puts it, it's every possession that's not physical, from stocks to Satoshi, encompassing all forms of digital value. The real challenge for many organizations, especially those growing rapidly, like our hypothetical quantum innovations startup we mentioned, isn't just listing these assets, it's understanding their interdependencies and their dynamic value.
Interdependencies, yeah, how one thing affects another.
Precisely. What if compromising one small piece of legacy code impacts their entire customer authentication system? You simply can't protect what you don't know you have, making precise asset management fundamental to both security and overall business continuity. It's job number one, really.
That makes perfect sense. So knowing what we have is step one. But as quantum innovations grows, how do they actually go about creating and, more importantly, maintaining a comprehensive and accurate inventory of these digital assets when things are constantly changing? That sounds like a huge task.
It is a huge task, and this brings us to a crucial point about the real-world application of security. Cybersecurity Asset Management, or CAM, focuses precisely on this challenge. How do you build that living map of your digital landscape?
A living map? I like that.
Yeah, because it has to be constantly updated. It's about how you create and maintain a comprehensive, up-to-date, and accurate asset inventory. For a smaller startup, this might begin as a meticulous spreadsheet, sure. But for a rapidly scaling company like Quantum Innovations, you quickly move towards more robust enterprise asset management (EAM) software systems.
Okay, EAM systems.
Imagine trying to manage a bustling city's traffic without an accurate, real-time map of all the roads, bridges, and intersections. You'd have constant gridlock, right?
Total chaos.
Exactly. Neglecting an asset inventory in the digital world is just like that. It creates security blind spots, massive ones.
So this inventory, it's really the bedrock.
It's the absolute foundation for your entire security plan. Without it, protecting against risks is nearly impossible. Solutions like AssetWorks EAM or NNextGen's offerings handle the day-to-day tasks, such as work order management, real-time labor tracking for preventive maintenance, inspection recording, and future planning.
So the tools help automate it.
They help a lot, but even with these tools, organizations often struggle with maintaining accuracy. Why? Well, maybe manual processes creep in, or there's a lack of clear ownership for certain assets, or you get the proliferation of shadow IT, unauthorized systems or software people start using.
Shadow IT. That's a big one.
Huge. A helpful tip is to break down assets into logical segments and components for easier management. For example, a physical server could be one asset, but its operating system, the applications running on it, and specific data sets could be managed as separate components.
Okay, getting granular.
Exactly. Each with different security needs, lifespans, and owners. This level of granularity helps prevent those overlooked details from becoming critical vulnerabilities. You have to know what you're dealing with, piece by piece.
That distinction between an asset and its components is key. It's not just about what an asset is today, but its entire journey, right?
Yeah.
What does managing information assets throughout their life cycles entail for security? And why is that so important?
Exactly. This is where the life cycle approach comes in, emphasizing that security isn't a one-time check, but a cradle-to-grave responsibility. It's fundamental.
Cradle to grave.
An asset security needs fundamentally change throughout its existence, from its initial acquisition or procurement, through its active assignment and daily maintenance, and finally to its decommissioning and secure disposal. Think of it like building a house. Security decisions begin with the foundation and continue right up until demolition.
Okay, that makes sense.
For instance, in the planning and design phase for quantum innovations, they must ensure secure by design principles are followed for any new software or system they bring in or build.
Built-in security, not bolted on later.
Precisely. Data retention policies set during this early stage dictate how long certain types of data should be kept and where it should be stored, ensuring compliance and minimizing unnecessary risk down the line.
Right, compliance is huge.
Then, throughout its operational life, regular inspections, preventive maintenance like patching and updates, and potential expansions due to growth all have unique security considerations. You can't just patch and forget, you need to verify.
And the end.
Disposal.
Critically important. At the very end of an asset's life, secure sanitization and destruction are absolutely critical. Failing to securely wipe or physically destroy an old hard drive that contains sensitive customer data, for example, is a significant and often overlooked security risk.
I bet that happens more than people think.
Oh, it's a surprisingly common pitfall, even for seasoned professionals. People think, it is old, who cares? Big mistake. So the whole life cycle matters, cost-wise too.
Absolutely. When we consider life cycle costs, the initial capital cost to acquire or build an asset is typically only about 20% of its full life cycle cost.
Only 20%. Wow.
Yeah. The remaining 80% is comprised of ongoing maintenance, operating, rehabilitation, renewal, and disposal costs. Ignoring these later stages is like building a magnificent bridge but never inspecting it or performing necessary repairs. Eventually, it fails.
And the failure could be a massive security breach.
Exactly. Each phase has unique security considerations, from secure design during planning to regular patching during maintenance, and the ultimate secure rendering of an asset unusable upon disposal. This comprehensive view helps organizations like Quantum Innovations avoid costly oversights and maintain long-term security integrity. You have to see the whole picture.
It's clear that understanding an asset's journey is crucial. Speaking of value and risk, how do organizations categorize assets to help manage their security more effectively? What are these classification schemes? Sounds a bit formal.
It sounds formal, but it's actually a very practical concept. This is where we uncover a powerful insight into proportionate security. Classification is vital because, frankly, not all information assets are created equal in value or sensitivity.
Right. Some things are more critical than others.
Exactly. So organizations use classification schemes to group assets based on critical factors like their confidentiality, integrity, and availability requirements, the classic CIA triad.
Confidentiality, integrity, availability. Got it.
This helps them define the appropriate level of protection needed for each asset. For example, Quantum Innovations' proprietary AI algorithm or their highly confidential customer databases would require far more stringent access controls, encryption, and monitoring than, say, their publicly available marketing materials.
Makes sense. You wouldn't guard a brochure like you guard the secret formula.
Precisely. But here's where it gets really interesting, and often where organizations struggle. The real challenge isn't just knowing the categories, but understanding that overclassifying everything as confidential or secret often backfires.
How so? Isn't more security better?
Not always. It creates what we call alert fatigue for security teams. If everything is screaming critical, they become less effective at identifying truly critical threats. It can paradoxically lead to less actual protection for your most valuable assets because attention is diluted.
Ah, the boy who cried wolf effect.
Exactly. If every email is marked confidential, then none of them truly stand out. The real art is finding that proportionate sweet spot, where your security efforts align precisely with the asset's actual value and risk exposure. Common classifications might include public, internal use only, confidential, or secret, with each level triggering different predefined security protocols.
So it guides resource allocation.
Perfectly put. It's a way to ensure security efforts are proportional, preventing you from guarding a park bench with the same security measures you'd use for a national treasury, or in Quantum's case, their core IP.
Now, on to the core of it all. Risk. We hear this term constantly in business and technology. But what is information security risk, specifically? And why is managing it a continuous process rather than a one-time fix, like maybe ticking a box on a checklist?
That's an excellent distinction. What's truly insightful about risk management is that it's fundamentally a continuous process designed to reduce risk to a level that is considered acceptable for the organization.
Acceptable, not zero.
Exactly. It's not about eliminating all risk that's an impossible fantasy in today's world, but about achieving an acceptable risk appetite, which is the total amount and type of risk an organization is willing to bear to achieve its objective.
Risk appetite, okay.
Think of it like driving a car. You accept the inherent risk of a flat tire or maybe a minor accident, but you take proactive steps to reduce that risk, right? You maintain your car, follow traffic laws, maybe have insurance.
Sure, you manage the risk.
Precisely. For businesses like Quantum Innovations, this involves using various strategies and control types, proactively addressing third-party risk, which we'll get to, and incorporating robust user training. Investopedia defines business risk simply as any exposure a company has that could cause reduced profits or outright failure.
And why? Continuous. Why can't they just do it once?
Simple. The threat landscape is relentlessly evolving. It never stands still. Swift technological changes, increased interconnectivity, global crises like pandemics or geopolitical events, even shifting economic climates or new government regulations all create new and unpredictable challenges constantly.
So the risks change daily, basically.
Pretty much. You can't just check a box once a year and declare yourself risk managed. It requires ongoing vigilance, continuous monitoring, and constant adaptation. The most common mistake organizations make is treating risk management as a one-time task during the planning phase, maybe filling out a risk register and then forgetting about it.
Sticking it in a drawer.
Exactly. True risk management requires continuous updates and adjustments throughout a project's life cycle, or just the life of the business, driven by a well-defined plan. It's dynamic.
That's a powerful insight. That risk management is an ongoing journey, not a destination. So risk isn't just one nebulous thing. It's a combination of specific elements, right? What are the key components we need to understand to effectively identify and tackle these risks?
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, risk is typically understood as being made up of three critical interconnected components: threats, vulnerabilities, and impacts. Understanding these allows you to think like an attacker identifying the gaps they'd target.
Okay, threats, vulnerabilities, impacts. Break those down.
Sure. A threat is a potential danger that could exploit an asset. This could be a malicious hacker trying to breach Quantum Innovations' network, an internal threat like an employee misusing company resources, intentionally or not, a natural disaster such as a flood affecting a data center, or even a new government regulation that suddenly renders a business practice non-compliant. Threats are the what could happen.
Okay, the potential danger. What's a vulnerability?
A vulnerability, on the other hand, is a weakness in your system or processes that a threat could exploit. This might be outdated software with known security flaws, like that unpatched server we mentioned, a poorly configured firewall, weak passwords, or maybe a lack of clear security policies and procedures for handling sensitive data. It's the how they could get in.
The opening and impact.
The impact is the negative consequence if a threat successfully exploits a vulnerability. This is the so what. This could manifest as reduced profits, complete business failure in extreme cases, a devastating data breach leading to customer distrust, significant legal action and financial penalties, think GDPR fines, severe reputational damage, or a critical loss of system availability due to something like ransomware.
Right, the actual damage.
Exactly. Consider the real-world example of HSBC, which faced a massive fine, hundreds of millions, due to its internal anti-money laundering AML operations failing. This was an operational risk, a vulnerability in their process, that led directly to severe reputational damage and huge financial penalties. That's the impact.
Wow.
Understanding these three components allows us to pinpoint what we're protecting against threats, where we're weakest, vulnerabilities, and what's at stake, impacts, forming the essential basis for effective risk identification and analysis. It's about seeing the entire chain.
So we've identified the components. Once we know what risk is composed of, how do organizations actually conduct these risk assessments? Are there different ways to approach it? And what are the pros and cons of each method?
Good question. This brings us to a crucial practical point. How do we get a clear, actionable picture of our risks to prioritize actions effectively? Risk assessment is the systematic process of identifying, analyzing, and evaluating hazards and risks.
Like a checkup for your security health.
Yeah. Exactly like that. It's much like a doctor diagnosing an illness. You need to understand the symptoms, potential causes, and overall health to prescribe the right treatment. There are different types of assessments: ad hoc, or one-time assessments done when necessary, perhaps after deploying a new system.
Okay.
Then you have recurring assessments conducted on a calendar basis, maybe annually or quarterly, or continuous assessments performed year-round, ideally integrating into daily operations.
And independent ones.
Right, independent assessments verified by an outside third party for an unbiased view. These can be invaluable for regulatory compliance or assessing highly sensitive systems. Adds credibility.
Okay, so different timings. What about the methods? You mentioned qualitative and quantitative.
Correct. In terms of methodologies, we primarily have two main approaches. Qualitative risk assessments use educated guesses based on observation and experience. They often categorize risks as high, medium, or low, perhaps using tools like HAZ studies with checklists or visual risk matrices and heat maps that plot likelihood against severity.
So, more subjective, based on judgment.
Generally, yes. The strength here is simplicity and speed. It's often quicker to implement. The weakness is that subjectivity. For Quantum Innovations launching a new product, a qualitative assessment could quickly highlight the most immediate critical risks without needing tons of historical data, which they might not have yet.
Okay, and quantitative, that sounds like numbers.
It is. Quantitative risk assessments, on the other hand, attempt to assign hard numbers to risks using historical data and statistical analysis. This approach calculates specific financial metrics.
Like what?
Things like the single loss expectancy, SLE, which is the expected monetary loss every time a specific risk occurs, say the cost of one server failing. Then there's the annualized rate of occurrence, ARO, which is the likelihood of that risk occurring within a one-year period.
How often it might happen per year.
Exactly, and putting those together gives you the annualized loss expectancy, ALE, which is the total expected monetary loss for an asset due to that specific risk over a one-year period. So for Quantum Innovations, they might estimate the cost of a single server outage, SLE, and then project the total loss over a year based on how often they expect it to happen, ALE equals SLE ARO.
Ah, okay, so you get a dollar figure for the risk per year.
That's the goal. The strength of quantitative is its precision and its ability to justify security investments with a clear return on investment, ROI. You can say this control costs X, but it reduces our ALE by Y. The weakness is the often scarce availability of reliable historical data, especially for new or emerging cyber threats. It can be hard to get good numbers.
Right, so maybe a mix is best.
Often, yes. A hybrid approach can work well. The real value, regardless of method, isn't just identifying risks, but prioritizing them effectively to allocate limited resources where they'll have the most impact. You can't fix everything at once.
So we've identified and analyzed the risks using these methods. Now, the million-dollar question. What do we do about them? What are the core strategies for managing risk, and how do we ensure it's an ongoing effort rather than a forgotten checkbox?
Right, the action phase. Managing risk involves choosing appropriate mitigation strategies, and frankly, this is where a lot of organizations fall short if they don't have a clear actionable plan. Think of it as having a versatile toolkit for different problems. We have 4 main strategies for risk treatment.
Okay, what are they?
First is avoidance. This means deciding not to engage in the activity that creates the risk in the first place, completely eliminating it. For instance, quantum innovations might decide not to collect certain types of highly sensitive customer data if the compliance risk and potential impact of a breach are just too high compared to the value of the data. Just don't do it.
Okay, avoid the whole thing.
Second is transfer. This involves shifting the responsibility, usually the financial responsibility, of the risk to a third party. The most common example is purchasing cyber insurance.
Insurance.
Yeah. If the risk is a potential data breach, insurance can help cover the financial fallout, the cleanup costs, legal fees, maybe fines, though it won't magically restore your reputation. You're essentially paying someone else to accept a portion of the financial impact if the bad thing happens.
Got it. Third strategy.
Third is acceptance. Here, you acknowledge the risk, but consciously decide to take no specific steps to address it.
Just live with it. Why?
Well, perhaps because the cost of mitigation far outweighs the potential impact, or the risk is simply too minor and infrequent to warrant significant resources. It's a calculated decision. For example, if Quantum Innovations has an old, seldom-used storage shed way out back accessed by a gravel road, they might accept the risk of an occasional pothole forming on that road. It's not worth paving it. But for the main bridge leading into their campus that thousands cross daily, accepting the risk of collapse? Absolutely not. There, a higher level of service to mitigate risk is imperative.
Makes sense. Context matters. And last one, mitigation.
Right. Fourth is reduction or mitigation. This is probably the most common strategy. It's where you implement specific measures to make the risk less serious, either less likely to happen or less impactful if it does happen. This involves applying security controls, installing patches, implementing multi-factor authentication, conducting robust user training, improving processes, etc.
Okay, so avoid, transfer, accept, or reduce.
Those are the main options. And these strategies can be applied either reactively, waiting until something breaks to fix it, which often leads to higher costs and more significant damage in the long run, or proactively, focusing on an asset's entire life cycle to fix issues at the right time.
Proactive seems better.
Generally, yes. For example, applying 2 surface treatments to a road at the right intervals over its lifetime is far cheaper than a full overlay reconstruction after 30 years of neglect. Similarly, proactive security investments often prevent breaches that are exponentially more expensive to clean up afterward.
And keeping it ongoing, how do you do that?
It's definitely an ongoing process. Regular monitoring and review are crucial. You have to ensure that the chosen strategies remain effective and are adjusted to emerging threats. This often involves tracking key risk indicators, KRIs, and conducting continuous assessments.
So it's a loop. Assess, treat, monitor, reassess.
Exactly. But it's easy to make mistakes. Common ones include blurring the lines between causes, events, and impacts during analysis, underestimating the probability of rare but high-impact events, or focusing only on mitigation while neglecting the other valid strategies like avoidance, transfer, or acceptance. And critically, as we said, many project leaders or managers treat risk management as a one-time task during planning. They fill out the risk register, file it, and forget it.
Big mistake.
Huge. True risk management should be a continuous process, with regular status updates and adjustments throughout the project's lifecycle, driven by a well-defined plan. It's about owning your organization's risk posture and understanding the threat landscape continuously.
In today's interconnected business world, organizations rarely operate in isolation, do they? They often rely on a whole web of vendors and partners for everything from cloud services to specialized software. How does this reliance introduce new security challenges, and what exactly are third-party risks?
You've hit on a truly crucial point about the modern attack surface. It's porous. As organizations like our Quantum Innovations increasingly rely on external vendors and partners for, well, almost everything: cloud computing services, managed IT support, application development, payroll processing, even social media network sharing tools. The risks associated with these third parties become absolutely paramount.
So the risk comes from them.
It can, absolutely. A security breach in a third-party vendor system can directly impact your organization, leading to the exposure of your own sensitive data or disruption of your critical services. We've seen this play out in countless high-profile data breaches. Think about the infamous Equifax breach that originated from a vulnerability in a third-party application framework they were using. It led to massive data exposure for millions of individuals.
Right, I remember that one. It wasn't even directly Equifax's system that was the entry point.
Exactly. The insight here is profound and a bit scary. Your digital castle is only as strong as its weakest drawbridge, and those drawbridges are your vendors. You're effectively extending your security perimeter to every single vendor you work with.
Extending your perimeter. That's a good way to put it.
And you need to consider their privacy policies, their risk awareness failures, their data handling practices, their own security controls, and all other data considerations. This creates a complex supply chain analysis challenge. For Quantum Innovations, relying on a payroll service or a cloud provider like AWS or Azure means their security posture is now intrinsically linked to those partners.
Your security depends on theirs.
Absolutely. It's no longer enough to just secure your own walls. You must diligently ensure the security of all those you grant access, even indirect access, to your kingdom. It's a shared fate in many ways.
That's a sobering thought, that your security is only as strong as your weakest link, even if that link is technically outside your direct control. So, how do organizations like Quantum Innovations manage the life cycle of these third-party relationships securely, from the very beginning to the very end?
This requires meticulous planning and rigorous execution, particularly for partner onboarding and offboarding. These are critical control points.
Okay, onboarding, what does that involve?
During the onboarding phase, organizations must conduct thorough due diligence. This isn't just a quick check or a rubber stamp. It should be a deep dive into assessing the vendor's security posture, understanding their internal risk management practices, and ensuring they meet your specific security standards and requirements.
So, vetting them properly.
Rigorously. This includes understanding their data handling practices. Where will your data be stored? Who has access? How is it protected? It also means checking their compliance with relevant regulations like GDPR or CCPA, depending on your business, and assessing their technical security controls.
How do you assess them? Ask them nicely.
Well, you ask, but you verify. You might use detailed security questionnaires, request independent third-party audit reports like SOC2 reports, or even for critical vendors, conduct your own security assessments or penetration tests if the contract allows.
Okay, so thorough checks up front. What about when the relationship ends? Offboarding.
Equally critical, and honestly often overlooked or done poorly. When a third-party relationship ends, maybe a contract expires, or you switch vendors, it's absolutely crucial to ensure that all access granted to that vendor is immediately and permanently revoked.
All access, network, systems, data.
Everything. Physical access, too, if applicable. All your data held by them must be securely returned to you or, more likely, securely destroyed according to pre-agreed methods. And any lingering dependencies on their services must be fully addressed and disentangled.
Why is this so often overlooked? Seems obvious.
People get busy, focus shifts to the new vendor, maybe the person who managed the relationship left. Lots of reasons. But neglecting offboarding is like giving a departing employee a master key to the building on their last day and never asking for it back.
Yeah, not good.
It leaves open, dangerous backdoors, potential data leaks, and creates unnecessary vulnerabilities long after the business relationship is over. This meticulous process is a crucial aspect of continuous support for effective asset and risk management, ensuring no lingering vulnerabilities are left open once a partnership ends.
Beyond these operational processes, what legal and contractual tools are essential to protect an organization when working with third parties? These must be the legal shield you mentioned earlier.
Precisely. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, these contractual agreements are indeed your indispensable legal shield. They aren't just legal formalities buried in fine print. They're your enforceable security blueprint with external partners. They define clear expectations, responsibilities, and importantly, liabilities for both parties involved.
So what kinds of agreements are we talking about?
Several key types. First, service level agreements, SLAs. These specify the exact services that will be provided, the responsibilities of each party, and crucially, performance guarantees related to things like system availability, uptime, response times for support, and often specific security standards the vendor must meet. For quantum innovations, an SLA with their cloud provider might dictate 99.99% uptime guarantees and specific data recovery objectives in case of an outage.
Okay, SLAs define the service levels. What else?
Business partnership agreements, BPAs. These tend to establish the broader rules and responsibilities between partners, especially in a collaborative context, like for joint ventures or shared technology development initiatives.
More for partnerships than simple vendor relationships.
Generally, yes. Then you have memorandums of understanding, MOUs, or memorandums of agreement, MOAs. While MOUs often just describe mutual understandings, MOAs are typically considered more formal and legally enforceable documents outlining common legal terms and responsibilities. The distinction can be subtle but important legally.
Got it. And NDAs. Those seem critical for tech.
Absolutely critical, especially for a company like Quantum Innovations. Non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, are specific legal contracts designed purely to protect confidential information shared between parties. They strictly restrict how the receiving party can use that information and prohibit its disclosure to others. For a tech startup, protecting their intellectual property, algorithms, customer lists, and strategic plans with robust NDAs is paramount before any sensitive discussions even begin.
So get the NDA signed first.
Always. Additionally, a crucial safeguard often included within these other contracts, like SLAs or BPAs, is a right to audit clause. This clause explicitly grants your organization the right to verify the vendor's security practices and audit results independently, perhaps by inspecting their facilities or reviewing their security logs within agreed-upon parameters.
So you can check up on them.
Exactly. It isn't about distrust. It's about due diligence and verifying they're actually doing what they promised in the contract. Trust but verify.
Makes sense. Anything else contract-wise?
One more thing. Proactively considering end-of-life EOL policies for vendor products or services is also vital. The contract should ideally address what happens when the vendor decides to stop supporting the product or service you rely on. This ensures you have a plan and aren't suddenly left using unsupported, potentially vulnerable software or hardware because support has ceased.
Planning for the end from the beginning.
That's the idea. These agreements, when properly drafted, negotiated, and enforced, define the security expectations clearly and provide essential legal recourse if those expectations are unfortunately not met. They are a critical part of managing third-party risk.
Change is constant in IT. It's the nature of the beast, right? Something's always being updated or replaced. But what exactly defines a change in information systems? And why is change management so vital for maintaining security, rather than inadvertently introducing new risks every time something changes?
That's a great observation, and it leads us to a fundamental insight that trips up many organizations. Every single change, no matter how seemingly small, is a potential security event waiting to happen if not managed correctly.
Every change. Even a tiny patch.
Potentially, yes. What's fascinating here is that change in information systems isn't just a big system overhaul, like migrating entirely to a new cloud platform. It can be anything from applying a minor software update or patch, performing a major system migration, altering network configurations like firewall rules, modifying allow lists or deny lists, adjusting dependencies between different services, or even just continuing to use legacy applications that need careful handling and compensating controls. Even restarting a critical system is a change event.
Okay, so the scope is really broad. What is change management then?
Change management is a systematic, standardized approach to dealing with these transformations, big or small, within an organization. Without a structured approach, you introduce chaos. You risk unexpected system downtime, introducing new and undocumented vulnerabilities, breaking dependencies, and ultimately losing control over your security posture.
Chaos isn't good for security.
Definitely not. It's like managing a complex city intersection with heavy traffic. You can't just randomly change traffic lights, redirect lanes, or introduce new signage without a structured plan and clear communication to drivers. Doing so would inevitably lead to accidents, confusion, and gridlock.
Good analogy. Change management prevents digital accidents.
Exactly. It helps maintain system integrity and availability, securing modern electronic data systems as they inevitably evolve. This directly aligns with that BCIS 4345 course description we mentioned, which highlights network and system security as a continuous process involving analysis, implementation, evaluation, and maintenance. Change management is a absolutely key part of that ongoing implementation and maintenance cycle. But it's just a small change mentality is a common and dangerous pitfall that often leads directly to major security incidents.
That's a powerful analogy. So how do organizations ensure these changes are documented, implemented smoothly, and don't create security nightmares? What's the systematic process involved? How do they avoid that chaos?
This brings us to a crucial question about control and predictability, especially in a dynamic environment like our quantum innovations example. A well-defined change management process isn't about adding bureaucracy for its own sake. It's a safety net designed to prevent disaster. It provides a structured, repeatable way to request, review, approve, test, and then implement changes safely.
Okay, what are the steps usually?
The process typically begins with clearly defining the need for a change, the why. Then comes preparing and planning for it, which includes assessing the impact, identifying resources needed, and scheduling the work. Next is implementing the change itself. And finally, sustaining that change within the environment, making sure it integrates properly.
So request, plan, implement, sustain. What happens within those stages?
Key steps include formally requesting changes, often via a change request CR form or a ticketing system, then thoroughly reviewing those requests for potential impacts on security, performance, stability, and compatibility with other systems. This review often involves multiple stakeholders, including security teams, system owners, and operations teams.
Getting multiple eyes on it.
Essential. Then comes securing explicit approval from the relevant stakeholders, often through a change advisory board or CAB. Importantly, changes should always be carefully tested before deployment.
Testing is key. Where do they test?
Ideally, in a designated maintenance window to minimize disruption to users, and more importantly, in a dedicated staging or testing environment that mirrors production as closely as possible. This helps identify unforeseen issues before hitting the live systems.
And what if the change goes wrong in production despite testing?
That's where the backup plan comes in. A crucial safety net, and something often overlooked until it's desperately needed, is developing a comprehensive backup plan before you implement the change. These are the precise, documented procedures needed to roll back the change and restore the system to its previous stable state if the change introduces unexpected problems.
So you can undo it quickly.
That's the goal. Just as building a new freeway interchange requires rigorous planning, environmental impact assessments, and extensive testing before opening it to traffic, so too does a system change require a structured, documented approach. This includes updating all relevant documentation network diagrams, security policies, standard operating procedures, and often utilizing version control software for tracking changes to code and configurations.
It sounds like an essential, meticulous process. But how do security considerations specifically fit into this? What tools and practices help ensure changes don't inadvertently open new security gaps or weaken defenses?
Right, security can't be an afterthought here. It has to be woven in. The insight is that security isn't just a gatekeeper that says no at the end. It should be an embedded advisor throughout the entire change lifecycle.
Involved from the start.
Ideally, yes. Organizations must rigorously consider all potential impacts on security during every phase of change management. This means carefully reviewing the risk assessment specifically for the proposed change to identify and mitigate any new vulnerabilities it might introduce or existing controls it might weaken. It's about proactive assessment, finding problems before they find you, not just reactive firefighting after a change causes a breach.
Okay, so risk assessment is part of change review. What else?
This often involves using formal change management policies that outline specific security requirements or rules that must be met before a change can proceed. For instance, maybe any change involving external network connectivity must undergo a security architecture review. Any new application deployed by quantum innovations might need to pass a security code review and vulnerability scan before approval.
So security checks are built into the policy.
Exactly. Tools are also key. Vulnerability scanners can be used after a change is deployed, even in staging, to identify any security risks introduced by a configuration change or a new software deployment before it goes live in production. Imagine rolling out a new web app feature without scanning it, only to find later it exposed sensitive user data because of a simple misconfiguration introduced during the change.
That would be bad.
Very bad. Version control software is also critical, especially for infrastructure as code or software development. It tracks changes to code and configurations meticulously, prevents conflicts between different changes, and allows for easy rollback to a known good version if a security flaw is discovered post-deployment.
So the tools support the process and policy.
Precisely. This directly relates to the BCIS 4-45 learning outcomes of implementing and configuring security measures, as well as managing operations effectively, ensuring that every system evolution is a secure one.
I've heard there are various models for change management that go beyond just the technical steps and process. Can you give us a quick overview of how these frameworks help organizations navigate these transformations, especially dealing with the human element involved? People don't always like change.
That's a very astute point. People are often the biggest hurdle. Indeed, these models provide valuable roadmaps for navigating organizational transformations, particularly when human resistance to change is a significant factor. The critical insight here is that these models acknowledge that people, their attitudes, and their behaviors, not just the technology, are absolutely key to successful and secure change implementation.
Okay, like what models?
Well, for instance, Kurt Lewer's classic three-step model simplifies the process quite elegantly. It talks about unfreezing old behaviors and attitudes to create readiness and motivation for change. Then changing to the new behaviors by implementing the new ideas, processes, or systems. And finally, refreezing to stabilize the new norms and make them the standard way of operating, embedding the change in the culture.
Unfreeze, change, refreeze. Simple but makes sense.
It does. Then you have John Cotter's 8-step process, which is more detailed. It expands on this, starting with creating a sense of urgency, building a guiding coalition of supporters, forming a strategic vision, enlisting a volunteer army to drive the change, enabling action by removing barriers, generating short-term wins to build momentum, sustaining the acceleration, and ultimately instituting the change deeply within the organizational culture.
8 steps, much more granular.
Yes, very action-oriented. And another popular one is the PROSI 80-CAR model. This one is particularly useful because it focuses specifically on individual readiness and progression through change. 80-CAR stands for the 5 building blocks an individual needs to achieve successful change. Awareness of the need for the change, desire to participate and support the change, knowledge of how to change, ability to implement the required skills and behaviors, and reinforcement to sustain the change over time.
Awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement. 80-CAR.
Exactly. So for quantum innovations implementing, say, a new mandatory multi-factor authentication MFA system across the company, using the 80-CAR model would mean systematically ensuring employees understand why MFA is needed, awareness, want to use it for better security, desire, know how to set it up and use the authenticator app, knowledge, can actually integrate it into their daily login routines without major hassle, agility, and are positively reinforced through clear communication, support, and maybe recognition to continue using it consistently. Reinforcement.
So it addresses the human side step by step.
Precisely. These models aren't just academic concepts tucked away in textbooks. They are practical guides for organizations to ensure changes, especially significant security-related system overhauls, are not only technically sound, but are also accepted, understood, adopted, and sustained by the people who have to use and manage them every day. They help overcome that natural human resistance, which is often a major factor in why change initiatives fail.
We've talked a lot about systems, processes, tools, contracts. But what about the human element in security? How do we define security awareness in this context? And why is it considered so absolutely critical?
That's a truly fundamental question because what's fascinating and sometimes frustrating here is that the human element is often perceived, sometimes correctly, as the weakest link in the security chain. Yet with the right approach, with proper training and empowerment, people can become the organization's strongest firewall.
The human firewall, I like that.
It's a powerful concept. Security awareness and information security is really about defining, developing, and empowering all staff, not just IT, to understand the current threats they face, such as increasingly sophisticated phishing attacks or social engineering tactics, and crucially, to recognize anomalous or suspicious behavior.
Recognizing what looks wrong.
Exactly. It's about building a collective situation awareness within the organization, knowing what is unexpected, what seems unintentional, what just feels off, and therefore, what might be risky. Think of it as teaching everyone in the organization to be a vigilant neighborhood watch for the digital realm, constantly scanning for anything out of the ordinary or suspicious, and knowing how to report it safely.
So it's about making everyone a sensor.
A sensor and a first responder, anyway. The core goal is to enable employees to be that effective first line of defense, making them proactive guardians of information rather than reactive victims or accidental accomplices to an attack.
So it's definitely not just the security team's job then. Every single employee, from the CEO down to the newest intern, plays a role.
Absolutely, without question. What stands out to me again and again in incident reports is that everyone, from top management setting the tone down to entry-level staff handling routine tasks, has a crucial role in maintaining an organization's overall security posture. The smallest human error can potentially bypass the most sophisticated, expensive technology defenses.
Yeah, you hear about that all the time. Spear phishing gets the CEO.
Exactly. Human error remains a leading cause, arguably the leading cause, of security breaches globally. Simple mistakes like Quantum Innovations employees falling for a cleverly crafted phishing email that looks like it came from HR, clicking on a malicious link in a seemingly urgent message, using weak or reused passwords across multiple sites, or perhaps ignoring established security protocols because they seem inconvenient. These can have absolutely catastrophic impacts on an organization's data, finances, and reputation.
So awareness training directly fights that.
That's the goal. Effective security awareness management directly combats this risk by equipping employees with the knowledge and the motivation to make secure decisions in their daily work. It transforms them from potential vulnerabilities into active defenders.
Motivation is key too, not just knowledge.
Critically important. And as the Malaysian case study we encountered highlighted, sometimes risk management compliance efforts can inadvertently lead to a culture of fear, where employees are actually afraid to report potential incidents or mistakes because they fear blame or punishment.
That's counterproductive.
Hugely. Truly effective awareness training should aim to reduce fear by promoting understanding and empowerment. It should encourage employees to ask questions, to report suspicious activity promptly without fear of reprisal, rather than simply enforcing blind obedience to rules they might not understand. It's about building a culture of trust and shared responsibility for security.
That makes perfect sense. So how do organizations actually deliver this training effectively? Are there specific methods that work best? And how do we make it engaging, not just, another boring mandatory online module everyone clicks through?
Right. This raises the important practical question. How do we make security training engaging and truly effective so it actually changes behavior, rather than just being a perfunctory box-ticking exercise for compliance? Because effective training is about lasting behavioral change, not just temporary information recall.
So what methods are used?
Methods range significantly to ensure comprehensive coverage and reinforcement. You typically have initial training that's mandatory for all new hires, providing foundational security knowledge right from day one. Sets the baseline.
Okay, onboarding training.
Then there's recurring training to keep knowledge fresh, adapt to new and emerging threats, because the threats change constantly, and reinforce best practices. This is often done annually, quarterly, or even more frequently, perhaps tied to specific threat campaigns.
Keeping it current. What about testing awareness?
That's where things like phishing campaigns come in. These are a common and highly effective tool. Simulated phishing attacks are sent to employees carefully designed not to be malicious, of course, to train them to identify the red flags and resist clicking on links or providing credentials in real-world attacks. The results help tailor future training.
Learning by doing, safely.
Exactly. For Quantum Innovations, running a simulated phishing campaign that mimics a common attack vector seen in the tech industry could be incredibly valuable for reinforcing learning. The key overall is to explore different delivery methods. Don't just rely on one.
But
Mix it up. Use interactive online modules, engaging short videos, live workshops, maybe gamified scenarios where people compete, newsletters with security tips, posters, even tabletop exercises for incident response teams. The goal is ensuring the training is not only effective in conveying critical information, but also engaging enough to capture attention, facilitate long-term retention, and ultimately motivate users to consistently.
So once the training is delivered, using all these cool methods, how do we actually know if it's working? Is it just about tracking who completed the module? And how does this contribute to fostering that broader culture of security throughout the organization?
Great questions. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, evaluation and continuous improvement are absolutely essential for any security awareness program. You can't just deliver the training and assume it worked.
So measuring effectiveness, how?
It means not just tracking completion rates, but rigorously evaluating the program's actual effectiveness through reporting and monitoring key metrics. And then, critically, making informed improvements based on that data, on feedback gathered from employees, on analysis of real security incident data, are the types of incidents changing, and of course, based on the ever-changing threat landscape. Metrics and risk management are key here.
What kind of metrics?
For example, Quantum Innovations might track the reduction in click rates on simulated phishing emails over successive campaigns. That's a tangible measure of improvement. Or they might track the increase in the number of employees proactively reporting suspicious emails to the security team. That's also a positive sign. It indicates heightened awareness and willingness to engage.
Okay, data-driven improvement.
Exactly. The ultimate goal isn't just to have everyone complete the training sessions, it's to foster a robust, pervasive risk management culture where risk thinking and risk action are integrated into people's daily behavior and decision-making.
Making it second nature.
Precisely. It means employees are not just aware of security policies, but they habitually consider the security implications in their tasks, whether writing code, handling customer data, or even just browsing the web. It becomes a natural part of their workflow, not some separate, burdensome chore.
Like washing your hands.
Good analogy. As observed in that Malaysian case study, when risk becomes a routine discourse, a habit, and is discussed openly and regularly in every space or occasion, it eventually develops into an ingrained organizational culture, forming a new, more secure identity for the company. This is how you move beyond mere compliance checkbox security and genuinely strengthen the organization's posture from the inside out, transforming employees into that resilient, proactive human firewall that understands, values, and actively defends the digital world.
So these 5 core processes we've walked through, asset management, risk management, third-party risk management, change management, and security awareness, they really form a comprehensive, interconnected approach to securing any organization, don't they?
They absolutely do. They're the pillars.
But how does this rich theoretical knowledge, all these concepts from the Security Plus guide and our discussion, translate into tangible, real-world career opportunities, especially for students listening who are in MIS, CIS, or IT programs right now?
The what's in it for me question. And here's where it gets really interesting and directly relevant for your career trajectory, especially if you're looking at a market like DFW.
Why DFW specifically?
Well, the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is a perfect example. It's a burgeoning technology and business hub experiencing extraordinary economic expansion. And what this demonstrates clearly is that information security is no longer some isolated technical function tucked away in the IT department basement.
It's moved upstairs.
Way upstairs. It's now seen as a core business imperative, deeply integrated with legal, compliance, and overall corporate governance functions. We collectively call this GRC, governance, risk, and compliance.
GRC. Okay, I hear that acronym a lot.
You will. DFW, being a strategic hub for financial powerhouses like JP Chase, Goldman Sachs, Charles Schwab, major defense contractors like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, and a thriving consulting sector, think Deloitte, Accenture, has an immense demand for professionals who understand this intersection of GRC and technology.
So, specific GRC jobs.
Absolutely. Positions like IT risk analyst, GRC manager, IT auditor, cybersecurity compliance manager, information governance specialist. These are abundant in the DFW market. This means IT professionals today need to understand not just the how of technology implementation, but critically, the why of business, risk the legal frameworks, the financial implications, the potential reputational damage.
Bridging tech and business.
Precisely. And this is where programs like the BBA in MIS at Tarleton State University, with its dual emphasis on technical skills and managerial knowledge, are uniquely positioned. They train graduates specifically for this intersection, providing a strong foundation in strategic IT management and business functional analysis, which are highly valued in these GRC roles. Security is no longer just a tech problem. It's a fundamental business problem that requires a holistic, risk-based understanding.
That's a clear connection to the business world. Can you give us some specific examples of how the concepts we've discussed today, asset management, risk analysis, change control, etc., directly map to actual job titles and responsibilities someone might find listed on Indeed or LinkedIn for the DFW market?
Absolutely. Let's make it concrete. The theoretical principles we've covered today directly translate into tangible roles and required skills across the DFW job market. And these roles embody that continuous process involving analysis, implementation, evaluation, and maintenance described in the BCIS 4-45 course.
Okay, let's take MIS grads first.
All right. For our BBA and MIS graduates who typically have strengths in business functional analysis and strategic IT management, roles like IT governance, risk and compliance, GRC manager, or maybe an IT project coordinator focusing on security initiatives are a perfect fit. Why? Because they need to bridge business needs and technology solutions. They might be responsible for establishing asset classification policies based on business impact, asset management, or overseeing third-party risk assessments before signing a contract, third-party risk.
Makes sense. What about BAs in IT grads? More hands-on focus there, right?
Exactly. For BS and IT graduates, with their practical hands-on networking, hardware, and support skills, common pathways include IT support specialist, tier 2 or 3, network administrator, or perhaps an IT help desk security analyst. They would be directly involved in implementing security patches during approved maintenance windows, change management, or perhaps being the first point of contact for employees reporting suspicious emails, security awareness.
Okay. And BS and CIS grads, they often have strong technical and programming foundations.
Right. Our BS and Computer Information Systems graduates, often strong in rigorous technical problem solving and foundational programming, are really well suited for roles like IT security analyst, IT auditor, or maybe a cloud security engineer. They would be the ones performing detailed quantitative risk assessments, risk management, reviewing secure configurations during the change management process, or potentially building scripts to automate security checks.
And for those going further, like an MS in information systems.
For those with an MS in IS, aiming for more advanced systems design, architecture, and project management leadership, positions such as Senior Manager of IT Risk Management, Director of Information Governance, or a Cybersecurity Compliance Program Manager are definitely within reach. These roles involve defining the entire organizational risk appetite, setting the security strategy, and overseeing large-scale compliance efforts.
So a clear progression based on education and focus.
Definitely. The demand is high across the board, but the roles are becoming increasingly specialized. It's moving beyond just traditional IT support into focused areas like cloud security, data privacy, incident response, and automation, all emphasizing the need for these core information security management skills we've been discussing. Every concept from today's deep dive finds its practical application in these dynamic DFW roles.
So, while a degree obviously provides a strong theoretical foundation, you often hear employers talk about a skills gap. They want that demonstrable proof of practical application. What are these critical practical skills that complement academic knowledge and truly make a candidate stand out from the crowd?
That's a crucial point about market readiness. A significant demonstration gap often exists between what's learned in the classroom and what employers need on day one. Employers want verifiable proof of applied knowledge, not just theoretical understanding on a transcript.
Show, don't just tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing what a SUM system is isn't enough. You need to show you've actually used one, configured it, ingested logs, written detection rules, and maybe even hunted for threats in the data.
Hands-on experience. With what tools specifically?
It means getting hands-on experience with specific in-demand tools of the trade. For instance, SIEM platforms like Splunk are absolutely essential in many security operations centers, SOCs. Experience here means monitoring security logs from various sources, detecting potential threats based on correlation rules, and ideally conducting proactive threat hunting projects using the platform. Imagine putting on your resume or e-portfolio. Configured Splunk instance in a virtual lab to ingest Windows event logs and firewall logs, developed correlation rules to detect brute force login attempts, potential C2 communication. That's powerful.
Okay, SIEM skills are key. What else?
Cloud security platforms. AWS and Microsoft Azure dominate the cloud market, so skills here are critical. This means demonstrating you can implement security policies within these environments, configure things like security groups or network security groups, cloud firewalls, apply principles of zero trust architecture, and securely manage identity and access management, IAM roles and permissions. Perhaps you can show a project where you set up secure network segmentation in an AWS VPC or define strict IAM roles with least privilege access in Azure.
Cloud is huge. Makes sense. Anything else tool-wise?
Yes, automation and scripting. Efficiency is key in security operations. Skills in languages like Python and PowerShell are increasingly crucial for automating repetitive security tasks, performing automated vulnerability checks, parsing large log files, or integrating different security tools. You might build a simple Python script that automatically scans a list of web applications for common vulnerabilities, like SQL injection or cross-site scripting, in a controlled, ethical hacking lab environment, of course.
So SIEM, cloud security, and automation scripting.
Those are three huge areas where practical, demonstrable skills are highly sought after. And related to cloud and identity, proactively exploring and understanding zero trust architecture, ZTA principles, is also becoming vital. There's a big government-driven push for ZTA, which is creating a knowledge gap in the industry that forward-thinking professionals, especially graduates from programs like BCIS 4345, can actively work to fill. Showing you understand ZTA concepts is a big plus.
Beyond projects and hands-on experience with tools, What about professional certifications? We hear about them all the time. Security plus ADA, CISSP, etc. Are they truly that important for standing out in the competitive DFW market? Do they really make a difference?
They really do. Think of them as your credential currency, and they are a critical one in this field. Professional certifications serve a key purpose. They translate your academic knowledge and practical skills into a standardized, verifiable skill set that employers recognize and trust. This is incredibly valuable and directly supports those BCIS 4 through 45 learning outcomes around conducting assessments and managing operations effectively.
So they signal competence.
Exactly. Take the CompTIA Security Plus certification, which aligns closely with the textbook we're discussing. It is frequently mentioned as preferred or a definite plus for many entry-level and even mid-level security roles listed in DFW. Why? Because it acts as a market gatekeeper, validating foundational, vendor-neutral cybersecurity knowledge and skills. An analysis of recent DFW salary data suggests that an entry-level professional holding a CompTIA Security Plus certification can expect to earn, on average, somewhere around $70,917 annually. That's often a notable increase compared to a similar role without the cert. For employers, it signals a baseline level of readiness and significantly reduces their hiring risk.
Okay, so Security Plus is a strong starting point. What about more advanced ones?
For those aspiring to more specialized or senior roles, other certifications become very valuable. For example, the CISO, Certified Information Systems Auditor, is highly respected for roles in IT auditing, risk management, and compliance. Holding a CISO in DFW could push your salary range significantly higher, maybe into the $90,000 to $119,000 bracket or more, depending on experience.
CISA for auditors. What about management?
For management and senior technical roles, the CISSP, Certified Information Systems Security Professional, is often considered the gold standard. It's a broad, deep certification covering multiple security domains and often required for leadership positions. Earning potential with the CISP in DFW can range widely, potentially from $119,000 well up towards $200,000 or even more for senior leaders.
CISSP is the big one. Any others for GRC?
Yes, the Cross-Key Certified in Risk and Information Systems Control is another excellent one, specifically focused on IT risk management and controls, making it ideal for senior GRC roles. Salaries for cross-holders in DFW are also quite strong, often in the $125,000 to $167,000 range.
So certs clearly map to roles and salary potential.
They absolutely do. These certifications aren't just pieces of paper to frame. There are powerful signals to the market of your practical capabilities, your commitment to the field, and your alignment with industry best practices. They can definitely open doors.
So it's clearly not just about the technical skills and certifications, even though those are crucial. What human-centric abilities, or soft skills if you prefer, are highly valued in these security and GRC roles? What are the ones that really differentiate the top performers in the long run?
This raises a really important question about holistic professional development, and frankly, you're right. These human-centric abilities are often what build lasting careers and propel people into leadership positions. They're critical differentiators.
Like what, specifically?
Well, based on what DFW employers consistently emphasize in job descriptions and interviews, number one is strong analytical and problem-solving skills. This is the fundamental ability to take in complex, often ambiguous or incomplete data from many different sources, synthesize it, identify patterns or anomalies like potential vulnerabilities or indicators of compromise, and make sound, informed decisions, often under significant pressure.
Connecting the dots.
Exactly. It means you can take disparate pieces of information, maybe a series of unusual network traffic patterns, an alert from the scene system, and an employee report of a strange email they received, and connect those dots logically to uncover and respond to a potential security incident. It's like being a digital detective.
Okay, analytical skills. What else?
Communication skills are absolutely crucial. And this isn't just about writing reports. You must be able to articulate complex technical concepts effectively to a wide range of audiences, from highly technical peers during an incident response to non-technical business stakeholders when explaining the business impact of a risk, to senior executives when translating complex audit findings into understandable terms and recommending action. Imagine needing to explain the business risk of a zero-day vulnerability to a CEO who primarily cares about the bottom line and market perception. That takes skill.
Being a translator between tech and business.
Precisely. And third, attention to detail is paramount. So much of security work involves meticulous examination of details that others might easily miss. This could be scrutinizing lines of code for potential flaws, carefully reviewing network packet captures, examining system logs for subtle signs of intrusion, or precisely configuring firewall rules where one mistake could open a major hole. A tiny oversight can have massive security impacts.
Analytical, communication, attention to detail.
Those three consistently rise to the top. They are critical for effective GRC, for performing thorough audits, for clear incident response coordination, and for building trust with stakeholders. These skills are often the differentiators for long-term success and leadership potential, and they directly reflect that BCIS 4345 goal we keep mentioning, about encouraging critical thinking, questioning assumptions, and considering different viewpoints. It's about the whole professional, not just the tech skills.
This has been incredibly insightful, really connecting the dots from theory to practice. So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listeners, especially those currently in or recently graduated from programs like BCIS 4345 at Tarleton State University? How can you proactively enhance your competitiveness and truly stand out in this dynamic DFW job market?
Right, let's bring it home with some actionable advice. The path forward is clear, but it requires proactive effort. To effectively bridge that gap between solid academic knowledge and the specific demands of the market, students should really embrace a multi-pronged strategy. First, embrace GRC and cybersecurity management as a focus. Really lean into understanding how security integrates with overall business strategy, risk, and compliance. Leverage the unique business-first perspective often found in programs within a college of business like Tarleton's Dr. Ciampa College. Maybe even formalize specialized tracks or minors within degree programs focused on GRC or cybersecurity management. Show you understand the business of security.
Okay, focus on the business context.
Second, integrate mandatory technical hands-on modules. Don't wait for it to be assigned. Actively seek out hands-on training for those key platforms we discussed. This means engaging with Splunk, maybe through its free academic alliance program, completing tangible threat hunting projects in a home virtual lab environment. It means mastering AWS and Azure security fundamentals, perhaps by diligently working through their free online learning paths and building small projects. And as mentioned, proactively explore and build projects around Zero Trust Architecture, ZTA principles, given the government and industry push. Showing expertise here early is a huge advantage. Fill that knowledge gap.
Be proactive with hands-on skills. Third,
prioritize experiential learning and portfolio building. Theory is good, proof is better. Develop public-facing e-portfolios on LinkedIn, GitHub, or a personal site that showcase documented projects. What kind of projects? Setting up and configuring a SIEM lab, developing simple vulnerability scanners or automation scripts, ethically of course, creating mock risk registers based on the information security management principles we talked about, maybe even documenting your process for practicing ethical penetration testing in controlled environments using tools like Kali Linux or TryHackMe, and actively, aggressively seek out relevant internships and co-op programs. Real-world experience is invaluable.
show your work. Got it. And finally,
leverage university and external career resources. Don't go it alone. Utilize formal certification advising available through career services to map out a plan for credentials like CompTIA Security, plus CISO, or maybe CRIS down the line. Actively promote and engage with the free or low-cost industry-recognized learning platforms provided by vendors like Splunk, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Fortinet, Palo Alto Networks, etc. The future competitiveness for graduates, especially from strong programs like those at the Dr. Ciampa College of Business, really depends on this deliberate, multifaceted strategy. It's about becoming not just well-educated on paper, but immediately employable, demonstrably skilled, and ready for leadership roles in the demanding but rewarding DFW economy and beyond. Your education provides the springboard. Your proactive experiential learning is what gives you flight. #outro.
wow. Today, we've taken a truly deep dive into the 5 essential pillars of information security management: asset management, risk management, third-party risk management, change management, and security awareness.
Covered a lot of ground.
We really did. And we've seen how these aren't just abstract theoretical concepts from a textbook, but they are the critical, interconnected, real-world skills demanded by today's dynamic job market, especially in rapidly growing tech hubs like Dallas-Fort Worth.
Absolutely.
From precisely identifying and valuing your digital assets, to proactively assessing and managing complex risks, securing every single system change, no matter how small, and transforming every employee into a vigilant human firewall. These are the non-negotiable foundations of a truly robust security posture. They are absolutely essential for securing modern electronic data systems and ensuring their confidentiality, integrity, and availability for the future.
And remember that initial question we posed about protecting against those invisible threats and building an unbreachable fortress. The answer, as we've seen, lies not in some single magic bullet solution, but in the continuous, disciplined, integrated application of these fundamental management principles.
Continuous and integrated.
Exactly. It's about owning your professional growth, deeply understanding the ever-evolving threat landscape, and making sure you're equipped with both the foundational knowledge and the demonstrable practical skills to effectively analyze, implement, evaluate, and maintain secure electronic data systems for the future. It's really about building a career that's not just in IT, but a career spent truly securing IT and the businesses that depend on it for generations to come.
If you found this deep dive valuable today, please show your support by liking this episode, subscribing for more insights into network and system security, GRC, and career development, and sharing it with your colleagues, classmates, or anyone in your network who could benefit. Every share helps us reach more learners like you.
We appreciate it.
And don't forget all the additional resources we mentioned throughout the discussion, including links to certification information, vendor learning platforms, and maybe some ideas for hands-on lab opportunities are linked down in the description below. Definitely check those out.
Now consider this as you go about your day. What is one specific area of information security management, maybe asset inventory, maybe risk assessment, maybe change control, maybe awareness training that you will commit to deepening your practical skills in starting today to enhance your career prospects and help protect the digital world around you? Stay connected, stay secure. Until next time, keep your network strong, your data protected, and your curiosity alive.